Hi, this is David Odell with Odell Complete Concrete. In this video, I'm going to show you the pour day, the actual concrete pour day. This is the before. It's also in part 1 video, but this is just a quick before and after look. There's the after. Here's the day of the pour. We're gonna oil the forms up with my used motor oil from my truck that I always save for these occasions. Here's the truck. I'm adding fiber mesh into the mix right now. This is microfiber, so it's it's not noticeable, you know, when you do the concrete finish. Here we are starting to pour from the back to the front, as usual. Poured a little bit out here. We kind of sealed the curb up first, and now we're gonna start filling everything else in on the bottom. I kind of go around the whole perimeter to start with a hand float or a straight edge, and then just circle the drain, and then double check it with a level from time to time on your rod board to make sure the slope is going to the drain. This is color concrete. You can see that it looks pretty brown compared to your typical concrete color. And just like regular concrete, it starts dark in about 45 days or so, depending on the sun, temperature, how much shade you get. It lightens up a lot. So probably in this particular case here, we're probably looking at a good 45 to 60 days before this baby cures out to its real color. What we're gonna do here is I'm gonna stamp it with some Roman slate texture mats, seamless texture mats, and then I'm gonna use a powder release for the secondary color, which is a darker shade of brown. Although it's gonna go, when it goes on at this point, since the base color is so dark, they'll both look fairly close to the same color at this stage. And then as the base dries out and lightens, the secondary color stays the same because that doesn't lighten, and then you'll start to see more and more of the two-tone effect. This is a very difficult job due to the access and the space. So we basically had to I set up ladders to go on both sides of the fence to get in and out of that small planter space and into the backyard, because there's no access on the other side of the house. This is our access point, and it's not very wide. We couldn't get a typical bull float 3.5 footer through those sides, so we had to just wait and funny float it. So I just kind of worked my way back here on top of this curb to try to get a funny float back here. It wasn't easy, as you can see from this view. It was a little difficult getting in and out of this yard, but the end result was looked good. This particular mix design I used here was a 2500 mix, and I have fiber mesh in it as well. I've got expansion felt all the way around this house. I like to especially use that on new construction because there's a lot of movement in the first 20 years or so. Put a couple control joints here and there. I'm gonna definitely put them off the corners of the house to start with, because that's a definite crack point. Once I get my corners cut, I'll just break it up and divide it and put some here and there in the middle. So now I'm kind of double checking everything with a level while the concrete's still movable. So I'm going to go over this a little early because we didn't have a lot of access to get in here with walking tools. So I'm going to hit it a little early and check everything with the level, and if I have to move stuff around, I can. That was my straight edge for cutting the joints over there that we just seen. We're going to put one off the corner of the house here too. A wet joint. My joiner that I use goes 3/4 of an inch deep and has a 1/2 inch radius on it. Now he's going to run that joint off of the corner of the house straight across. I have another joint here off the corner of the house. It's pretty wet at this point, but I wanted to get out there to double check my drainage situation. I had to do a little adjusting with the level. I think I added a little bit of concrete here and there. We're going to put the trowel underneath the weep screed of the house all the way around to make sure it can breathe. The water has to come out. If any water gets in the stuff, it has to come out the bottom of the weep screed, because there's holes in that metal channel underneath the stucco for water to actually drain out and breathe. And if you pour up above that, what happens is the water gets entrapped in the stucco, and it'll start blistering the paint, and the actual stucco itself will get real weak and start disintegrating. I also, underneath the weep screed, I put a 1/2 inch paper, 1/2 inch wide paper, 4 inches deep, all the way around underneath that weep screed too, as an extra added breather. So at the end of this retaining wall or step wall, or whatever it is right here, where it's just kind of block and it's just at a different elevation and it just stops. I'm not sure exactly what that's for. I think it might be for hiding the footing, or it was a bigger portion of the wall, because on the other side of this property goes down about 10 feet, so it may have been a wider portion. They probably started with some 12-inch block at the base, and then they came up, and then they had to hide it with all that other block work around it to kind of dress it up. Here's the powder release that I'm using, Pro Line, and this color right here is actually going to be darker than the base concrete. It doesn't look like it at this point. In about 45 to 60 days, when that concrete cures out, you actually see the difference at that point. This is the Roman, no, this is Belgium slate, actually, right here. Looks similar to the Roman. Not as deep as the old granite, but has a nice texture. So what I use that little brush to broadcast the release lightly around. And that spreads it out evenly. And then I move my mats and stamp them in. And as I go over these joints, sometimes they may close up a little bit on you, so I have a little roller joiner that I run through there to just kind of open them back up. I also have a hand chisel for other kind of detail work. On these particular mats, there is a grain to them on the bottom. The veins do run in one direction for the most part. So what I do is I keep them opposite directions the whole time when they're next to each other, so you don't get a continuous vein running all the way through. Unless it's a look somebody might want, then you can do that. You can just have the veins all going in one direction. It's kind of like the veins of stone, basically, is the simulation. We got a couple small hand mats too, just for finishing up and getting into the tight areas. Matter of fact, these big mats don't even fit along the side of the house over there, so I had to use the 24 inchers to go through there. What we're doing now is we're pulling off of this area because we have to wait to stamp the rest, because we ran into an area where it was still shaded along the side of the house where the curb was, and it was taking longer to dry. So we're going to pull the mats off, wait about 30 minutes or so until it gets harder, so we can continue the stamping process. I'm gonna dust the face of these steps too, and then I'm gonna stamp the sides of them with the hand mats. Oh, here I am stamping the sides of the steps and the bottom landing. And this was probably about 30-45 minutes later, and we got back out here on this side of the house where it was in the shade and taking a lot longer to dry, which makes it really tricky for stamped concrete, especially when you're using a powder release, because you can't trowel the powder into the concrete, so you have to stamp and keep your powder where you're stamping and not over on the wet side, because as soon as you go out there to trowel it again, you rub it in, that powder doesn't come out, so you have to be careful about that. Anyway, this was a couple days later, and I pressure washed it. All the water drains good, as you can see here. The texture's real nice and even throughout. Now it's just a matter of time to get your real color of the concrete. Which is going to take, like I said, 45 to 60 days. If I were to come back here in 45, 60 days, it would look like a totally different job. Here's your aerial view. This happens, I think we're running a GoPro on this one, but we're only at we're not at 1080p on this though. We're running a lower setting. Here's some of the sealer that I use. It's just a basic cure and seal. You can't really put a high quality sealer on it at this point in the game because the concrete still has a lot of curing to do and there's a lot of moisture in it that needs to come out. So this cure and seal will get you 45 and get you out there a couple months, and then you can go back and then seal it with some nice lacquer base right over the top, and then you have a really nice product. It's well protected from staining, anything like that. Easy cleanup. But for now, we're gonna put something like this. It'll help a little bit, keep it clean, and also it's also a curing as well as a sealer, so help it all cure out evenly. What I do is I spray it on just with a garden pump up sprayer, and then I back roll everything to make sure that there's no puddling. If you get puddling, it whites out on you, so you gotta back roll them. That's how I do it, and I never have a problem. Anyway, have a good day. Thanks for watching my video. If you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to contact me. Don't forget to subscribe to see all these excellent videos coming up.